baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, stop racial vilification, Nawaikula told. Concerns raised on aged port infrastructure. And former Fiji Sevens player granted bail.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Good evening. The government has today labelled the statements of opposition MP Nico Nawaikula as inciting racial vilification in Parliament and amongst its members. Nawaikula, while responding to the annual review of the Ministry of Employment, Productivity and Industrial Relations, claimed the government is using the open merit recruitment system as a means to remove indigenous Fijians from top governing positions. This did not go down well with Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Kayum, who lambasted Nawaikula, saying the Sodelpa MP was making it a habit of using the race card. Koroi Tandulala reports.
Nico Nawaikula was at it once again, claiming that the indigenous rights were under threat.
Then there is this OMRS. OMRS has been used by this government to remove indigenous workers in the top position. Go to the civil service, from the directors up, no more indigenous people because they're using OMRS to remove them.
Not holding back, Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Kayum calling out Nawaikula's statement as misleading and something which lacked substance.
Leading Parliament by giving false information, of which is absolutely no proof. Number two, Mr. Speaker, sir, he is also inciting Parliament and members of Parliament using racial vilification with absolutely no proof for that. He simply stands up all the time, making all sorts of comments and thinks he can get away with it. There's certain standards need to be adhered to. Absolutely no proof of that, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The Attorney General also dismissed further claims made by Nawaikula about government exploiting workers' rights.
This is the worst time in any history in Fiji to be an employee. Worst time ever. Because all their rights, they've been exploited. Their rights have been exploited left, right and center.
Person's right to fair employment practices, including humane treatment and proper working conditions. Subsection 2, every worker has a right to form or join a trade union and participate in its activities and programs. Subsection 3, every employer has the right to form or join an employees' organization and to participate in its activities and programs. Trade unions and employers have the right to bargain collectively.
The Attorney General says the Fiji First government's effort in introducing the minimum wage is evidence that it's also prioritizing the welfare of the workers. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
The review report on the Fiji Ports Corporation Limited 2016 annual report was passed unanimously in Parliament today. While this reflects bipartisan support for the recommendations of the Standing Committee on Social Affairs, there was a 2-hour debate on the motion. The government told the House how much progress has been made in the divestment and management of FPCL, while in the opposition ranks it was a chorus of too little too late, concerns over foreign companies and questions over the 20-year master plan. Maggie Boyle reports.
2016, the FPCL completed its first year of operations under the part privatized structure.
26,254,954, significantly up in comparison to 2015's profit after tax figure for 13,577,091.
Opposition ranks highlighted their concerns on pollution, aging infrastructure and foreign ownership.
On behalf of the people of Nandono, Mai and Abukabuli Level, to hold good to the promise made by the committee in this FPCL 2016 report, and this is now 2020, that these derelicts be removed.
This government has done very little or nothing at all in regards to the upgrade of the main Suva wharf.
But for some reason, they go overseas all the time. They don't trust us.
In response, the government fired back.
You want to chase them away? You want to chase them away? You go to Dakondrove. How many locals own all the hotels? See, this is the kind of racism and the schizomarriage, Mr. Speaker, sir, that comes on from the other side.
There's an increased gross tonnage at Suva and Lotoka ports by 24% and 18.9%. From a tourism perspective, cruise liners increased by 26.6%.
And I'll get to the statistics that shows the turnaround times in Superport since 2016 has actually improved markedly. And Mr. Speaker, sir, so ADB is currently working on a master plan. Now, you don't allocate land before the master plan is decided where the port will be.
The review report itself listed 4 key recommendations, number 1 of which was pollution prevention at all our ports. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Former Fiji Sevens player Nico Verikauta was granted bail with a $200 bond by the Suva Magistrates Court today. Verikauta is charged with 1 count of dangerous driving and a count of driving under the influence of alcohol. It's alleged he was driving in a dangerous manner last Saturday and was also intoxicated at the time. He allegedly lost control of the vehicle in Suvavo Lami and as a result hit the railing of a bridge. He then allegedly fled the scene. Verikauta has opted to be represented by a Legal Aid Commission lawyer. The matter has been adjourned to April 1st. Minister for Agriculture Dr. Mahendra Reddy says the data collected through the 2020 agriculture census will enable the government to implement better targeted policies. At the end of week 1 of the census, over 18,200 out of the targeted 71,153 households have been counted. Fatia Begum with the story.
The Agriculture Ministry has moved away from sample data collection as was done in the past census.
This time around, we have decided that we'll go for population data amongst the rural and maritime division. However, Mr. Speaker, say some crops, while cultivated only to a limited extent, may be of great economic significance. Information of such crops can only be reliably informed from a complete census.
National Federation Party leader Professor Biman Prasad agreed with the minister, saying the census data is very important and should be made available for everyone.
There should be others, scholars, researchers, tertiary institutions, to look at what they think of the data that has been collected and point out the various areas or various gaps in policy, in planning that needs to be undertaken as a result of that data.
The 2020 agriculture census will conclude on the 29th of this month. Faria Begum, FBC News.
Overseas Australia will make a decision overnight on whether it will evacuate Australians and New Zealanders from a quarantined cruise ship. The nationals from these 2 countries have been trapped on the vessel Diamond Princess in a Japanese port for nearly 2 weeks amid mounting COVID-19 infections. Up ahead, Speaker to decide on opposition petitions. And ministry staff undergo negotiating skills training. Details after the break.
Radio Fiji 1 Nandomo Iviti.
Welcome back. There are 3 opposition petitions currently before the Speaker of the House of Parliament. In the first sitting of the 2020 Parliament session, Speaker Ratu Ipeli Nailatika confirmed he is considering a number of petitions brought to his attention. While he did not reveal the contents of the petition, he told Parliament that he may take a few days to make a decision.
I received 3 petitions from the opposition, and I am still considering and reviewing these petitions. Once I take a decision on these petitions, I will inform honourable members accordingly.
The Parliament Secretariat needs to widen its outreach program and increase public awareness on bills before the House. This was one of several recommendations by the Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, which tabled its report on the Department of Legislature's annual report from 2016 to 2017. Committee Chair Alvik Maharaj told the Speaker of the House that while the work of the department, the administrative arm of Parliament, is commendable, more needs to be done.
However, it is recommended that there should be more systematic approach for the wider outreach program which can be effectively monitored and assessed for its impact. The Parliament needs to create more awareness within the general public about the bills that are before the committees. That there should be other incentives such as annual performance awards.
Senior officers from the Department of Women are undergoing training to sharpen their negotiating skills so they can attend United Nations meetings with more confidence and understanding. The training will enable ministry representatives to raise issues affecting Fiji at international meetings without fear. Lena Rees has more.
The two-day training will equip participants with knowledge and techniques for multilateral negotiations.
I believe it's a great learning opportunity for us, at least for the time that I've spent in the ministry. I know this is the first of such workshops. And given the international meetings that we go to and also the regional ones, I see how critical such a skill is in each and every one of you.
The workshop facilitator says being able to effectively get the voices of our women heard at UN gatherings is important.
Whoever represents Fiji at the next Commission on the Status of Women or other negotiations feels confident and secure, knows what they're doing, knows the concepts that are being talked about, and understands the intricacies of UN negotiations.
Armstrong believes small island nation negotiators often feel they don't matter.
The great thing about the UN is that we can all be still in one room together, and that really there's not one country that's more important than another, and I think often small countries feel like they might not be quite as important as the bigger countries, and that's simply not true. So that's another thing I really want to get across today, is that everyone's voice matters.
The training is supported by the New Zealand High Commission. Lena Rees, FBC News.
The man who is charged in relation to the death of 23-year-old Aquila Salavuki pleaded not guilty to one count of murder. Saula Temo's trial began in the High Court this morning. Apanisa Wangairandovu reports Temo is alleged to have murdered Salavuki, who was a tertiary student.
It is alleged that Temo hit Salavuki with a piece of timber at the Suva foreshore in May 2018, causing his death. The first witness, a crime officer at the Totongo police station, stated in court that Temo was arrested from the Suva Remand Center on the 28th of August in 2018, where he was in remand for a separate case. The witness says all proper procedures were followed when interviewing Temo, and he was also taken to the doctor for medical checkup. The witness also stated that Temo refused to engage a legal counsel at that time. Meanwhile, Temo's lawyer told the court that his client submitted to committing the crime because he was assaulted prior to the interview. When asked for evidence by the judge, the legal aid lawyer said he has no evidence to prove the claim. The trial will continue in the Suva High Court tomorrow. Apenisa Wangarandovu, FBC News.
And up next, it's Business with Corey.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up after the break. Pacific Island countries urge to expand trading relations. And in growing Fiji, FRA focuses on bridge maintenance. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Leading business Pacific Island countries need to find ways to explore trade beyond its traditional partners. This was highlighted by Minister for Trade Pramila Kumar following the recent Foreign Trade Ministers meeting held in Suva. Kumar highlighted that part of the discussions was centered on how countries can grow trade with the United States of America and Asia. In light of expanding trade, Kumar stressed that one of the outcomes of the meeting highlighted the issues that come with trade and ways to address them.
Trade cannot be kept separately from other issues. Trade has an implication on health, trade has implication on environment. And we discussed at length about the non-communicable diseases in the country, in the Pacific region, and how as leaders we should look at the trade component rather seriously.
Sadifa from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the stock market.
Let's review the trading on the SPX platform last week. Over 93,000 shares were traded, amounting to more than $216,000. 8 listed entities recorded trades, with 7 noting share price movements. ATH shares decreased by 1 cent to end the week at $2.80. Kontiki Finance Limited shares also decreased by 2 cents to close at $1.25. Fijian Holdings Limited shares reduced by 15 cents to end the week at $1.35. BSP convertible notes decreased by $1 to settle the week at $25.50. Meanwhile, Paradise Beverages Fiji Limited further rose by 50 cents to close at $17. Port Denarau Marina Limited also rose by 25 cents, closing at $2.80, and RB Patel Group Limited shares rose by 4 cents to settle at $3.69. Resultant to the various share price movements, the overall market value decreased by 0.86% to a value of $3.87 billion. That's a wrap from our local stock market and from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here are today's exchange rates as set this morning. The Fiji dollar was on the rise against 4 currencies, but declined against our 2 major trading partners, the Australian and New Zealand dollars. Taking a look at commodities, they were all on the rise as well. Crude oil rose slightly, closing at $51.87 per ounce. Gold rose, settling at $1,583 per ounce. And silver closed up as well at $17.80 per ounce. In growing Fiji, bridges are a major focus for the Fiji Roads Authority this year. Chief Executive Jonathan Moore says they are currently reconstructing 19 bridges in the country. These include Yangara Bridge, Lenga Lenga Bridge, Lomo Lomo Bridge and Vutuna Bridge, to name a few. Moore says some bridges have deteriorated over the years. A number of these bridges now have weight restrictions imposed on them. That's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you now with the latest from sports.
Thanks, Koroi, and good evening in sports tonight. Local tournaments an option for Fiji Sevens. And secondary schools rugby league a hit. There's more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The Fiji Sevens side may have to feature in some local tournaments to keep them occupied between March and May, with the Hong Kong and Singapore Sevens, which were scheduled to take place in April, now postponed to October. Due to the threat of COVID-19, the team now has some free time on their hands. Aquila Dama reports.
Teams are starting to look at other alternatives to keep players occupied before the Olympic Games, and local tournament is an option for Fiji, but there are pros and cons about the idea.
There is the potential of local tournaments, but obviously in that, these local tournaments are played with clubs and there's prize money at the end of it. Now, what we don't want to do is compromise any of that, because to keep a healthy competition in the local game is hugely important to Production Sevens players.
There will be a 2-month gap between the Vancouver and London Sevens, and overseas teams can be invited to come to Fiji or vice versa during this time.
And we're looking at overseas, we're looking at potentially people coming here. We have a good relationship with Japan as well, and there's offers of potentially going up there, but again, the world is in the grips of a virus at the moment, which is more important possibly than where we need to be.
Sportsman of the Year Jerry Tuai says they are ready to play anywhere.
Right now we'll rely on the coach, all the plan and everything that the coaching staff, the management prepared for us. We are ready to follow and execute everything that they plan for us.
Fiji's next assignment is the Los Angeles Sevens in 2 weeks' time. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Under 15s team started its Australian tour with a 29-10 victory against the Queensland Reds yesterday. Fiji Under 7s reps Lavinia Tinai, Rusila Nangasau and Aloisi Nakodi, who recently returned from the Hamilton and Sydney Sevens, have transitioned well back into the team. Tinai scoring a double while Nangasau and Nakodi grabbed a try each. Akosita Rabato scored the 4th try for the national women's team. The Fijiana's next match is against the Waratahs women in Sydney on Friday. New teams participating in the Fiji Secondary Schools Southeastern Zone competition have impressed officials. The 3 schools have boosted the level of competition in the zone, upsetting bigger teams along the way. Venina Rakautonga reports.
The results being produced during the competition so far proves the outreach programs done in schools are successful.
Colombo, the newcomers from Colombo, they did the unthinkable, beating Ratusel School Memorial School in the under 17 grade. And also last week, Sirdar from Nosuri, they also beat Ratu Latianara, and this is testimony to the good development work that's been carried out by the teachers.
Fiji Mbati head coach Brendan Costin believes the addition of more schools gives players an opportunity to showcase their skills.
Competition's growing from year to year. It's improving every year. We've got more teams playing, and the longer the competition goes on, the more that we can get into the schools and assist with coaching. So I believe the competition's really strong.
The final round of pool matches for the Southern Eastern Zone will be held this weekend before the teams advance to the quarterfinals. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
The Ratokandabulevu School Under-19 team expects a determined Nasinu team when they clash during the Fiji Secondary School's Rugby League Tano Challenge this weekend. Team manager Simoni Tamani says the team must regroup well in camp before taking on the next challenge. The side thumped John Wesley 38-8 in their round 3 match at St. Marcelin grounds over the weekend.
We are looking forward to the game next week. We know that Nasinu is going to give them, it's going to give RKS a very good challenge. And when we go back today, we are going to re-strategize and we are going to prepare for our games tomorrow.
The newly promoted Navua football team is slowly finding its feet in the Vodafone Premier League. The side drew 1-1 against the Suva yesterday. Christopher Wasasala scored first for Suva before Navua struck back in the first minute of the second half through Munit Chand.
Philippe Mbaravilala to take the corner kick, a short one. A good one by Christopher Wasasala. And Christopher stoops low in the 26th minute of play. And the Navua defense waited. And this what he does excellently, Christopher Wasasala. For Navua across field, finds Aisake Nandobu. Aisake pulling it back, looks for support, gets the support of Munit Chan, chested down by Alfred Ali. Alfred cuts it back in field. Rather, it's Moses in Balai Nanganga with a cross, and in comes the shot, and a beautiful goal by Munit Chan.
Roy Krishna's ATK side is now second on the Indian Super League standings after being beaten 3-1 by Chennai FC this morning. Krishna scored the lone goal for his team. Arsenal picked up just their 7th Premier League victory of the season with a confidence-boosting 4-0 thrashing of Newcastle this morning. The Gunners have been the division's draw specialists this campaign, having been held 13 times, and it looked to be going the same way after a goalless first half, but things changed after the break. Meanwhile, Aston Villa manager Dean Smith says a farcical VAR decision contributed to Tottenham's last gasp 3-2 Premier League win. Spurs were awarded a penalty by VAR when the score was 1-1, with Son Heung-min scoring the rebound. Provisional candidate Master Tayone Sikivo won the National Blitz chess competition in Suva yesterday. Guru Arvind was the next closest rival in second place, while top seed Manoj Kumar finished third. The event was played in a 5-minute plus 3-second increment format, meaning that players had very little time to calculate positions, and games were even won via flag fall in time control. 14-year-old Rudra Prasad continued his fine form from 2019 by winning the secondary schools division, while the primary schools division was topped by Philip Suku. Now to our play of the day, and a week after beating the Jaguares in Super Rugby, Hurricanes and All Blacks halfback TJ Perenara is still being praised for his honesty. Social media is still reacting to Perenara's actions and also referee Rasta Rashivenge's approach. Rashivenge didn't consult the television match official after Perenara went over the try line, but instead asked him whether he scored or not, to which Perenara replied he didn't. The Hurricanes were trailing 23-12 at the time of the Perenara incident, but went on to win 26-23. That's it from Sports Tonight. Apenisa joins you with weather later on. And in new media, a look at the recently released Samsung Galaxy S20. That's coming up.
Neha and I'm from Karavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
And Apanisa is here with tonight's weather update.
While mostly fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country, the west experienced sunny and breezy conditions. Eastwards from Pekaba to Suva, there were periods of clouds and sun with a few light showers. And up north, generally fine conditions. At sea, moderate to fresh east to southeast winds, gustly at times, moderate to rough seas. For the tides, next high tide is at 2:21 tomorrow morning, followed by low tide at 8:09 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:01. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and the interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from afternoon or evening showers and possible thunderstorms. Tomorrow's temperature will still be in the low 30s tomorrow. Looking further onto Wednesday, expect much of the same weather. And that's the weather. Eddie.
He almost called me Jackie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we asked, do you support the Health Ministry's precautionary measures in light of COVID-19?
As I think whatever ministry is doing, it is good, because once the thing will catch here in Fiji, supposed to put sick people separate from other hospitals.
I think the ministry has been doing well, but they should isolate people who has the disease on one of our islands.
I think the Ministry of Health is doing a good job, and the border control sector has to be more stronger than what was it before.
So far so good. I think the ministry are doing well, so we should just support them, and the people also should be kept isolated.
I think it's a good idea that government are facilitating a hospital to cure people with such dangerous virus going on in Fiji.
They're doing well. It's up to us to support them.
And recapping the main stories, stop racial vilification, Nawaikula told. Concerns raised on aged ports infrastructure, and former Fiji Sevens player granted bail. For these stories and others, tune in to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question segment, last week we asked, are you happy with the bus fare increase which has come into effect? 53% said no. And this week's question, we ask, should politicians who spread fake news be prosecuted? Visit our website to answer. And to our shot of the day, taken in Pacific Harbour by Shelvin Prasad, a gloomy morning at Pearl Resort. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fpcnews@fpc.com.fj. Share it with us via our Facebook page or follow and tweet us at FPC News, #FPC News. That's your news for this evening. Stay safe. Modemanda.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.